We perform many activities in a day, and lifting operation is one of the critical operations that we can observe at any work site. Due to the critical operation and lack of awareness, there have been reports of many incidents that occurred while handling material. Let us have a look at the hazards related to material handling. Main causes for the incidents are defective wire rope sling, violation of the set procedures, such as not using the lifting plan, poor risk assessment, incompetent crew, using MEWP as a lifting equipment, overriding the safety controls on the lifting equipment, people being in the line of fire, person getting struck by and caught between dead weight and outrigger, using defective tools and tackles, person getting struck by and caught between load and stationary object, wrong selection of the lifting equipment, using equipment for lifting load beyond its load capacity, ignoring the safety instruction provided by the manufacturer for using a machine. For example, not using the load chart, ignoring the alarms, etc. Using equipment without checking it and its safety, not following the guidelines of maintaining the equipment according to the manufacturer's instructions. For example, not checking load indicator, boom angle indicator, swinging alarm, reverse alarm, upper limit switch, etc. Allowing incompetent or unauthorized staff to use the equipment. Any part of the crane touching the overhead electrical wires, which can result in electrocution. Grounds not being firm and outrigger not fully extended, which may result in tripping, imbalance or trapping of the crane. Presence of workers in the line of fire. Poor communication between banksman and lifting equipment operator. Using equipment in extraordinary and adverse weather conditions. Equipment used for material handling. Now, we will learn about equipment used in handling of heavy objects, the associated dangers, and the safety techniques required while using the equipment so as to avoid incidents. The equipment used in material handling are categorized into two parts: lifting tools and tackles. Lifting tools and tackles are used to attach load or material to the lifting machines. For example, web sling, wire rope, chains, D-shackle, hooks, chains, and spreader bar, etc. Lifting equipment. Lifting equipment are used for lifting load or material and moving it from one place to another with the help of lifting tools and tackles. For example, tower crane, telescopic crane, side boom, crawler crane, tool carrier, EOT crane, and forklift. Safety during lifting. Now, let us understand the safety rules to be followed while performing a lifting operation. During loading and unloading, please follow a 10-point checklist. All equipment should have an inspection tag and specify their capacity to lift weights. Only those hooks and shackles must be used, which indicate safe working load on them. The equipment should be inspected from a competent person, and the certificate must be kept safely. All the lifting equipment should be checked by a lifting equipment controller every month, and it shall be inspected and color-coded as per the current month's color-coding practice. Every lifting work to be carried out should be pre-planned and shall be conducted under the careful supervision by a competent person. The personnel responsible for giving signals, banksmen, should wear reflective vest for allowing their identification. Before starting the work, a permit has to be issued in accordance with the safety norms of the company. Also, ensure that safe working procedure contains the 10-point checklist, lifting plan, job safety analysis, risk assessment, and personal protective equipment. Supervisor should ensure that crane operator or rigger or helper and any other workers are familiar with the safe working procedures as well as other rules. It should be ensured that competent, experienced and certified crane operator, banksman and rigging crew are available. Operators should have a valid driving license. The operator or rigger or helper should always have their safety card and competency card with them. As we know, toolbox talk is an essential part of work before commencing the task. It shall at least contain the below brief discussion. Task assignment. Discussing the task in details with the associated related hazards may help the workers to understand the associated risks. Roles and responsibility. In order to facilitate an effective safety management system, the roles and responsibilities of the concerned personnel shall be defined and communicated irrespective of other responsibilities. Method statement. Method statement is a detailed statement of work, which includes scope of the task or activities, hazards involved in that task, and the safe work methodology of the task. Task risk assessment. Discussion on the site-specific or lift-specific risk assessment and control measures, and if there are any change in plan or process, dynamic risk assessment to be carried out before starting the job. Lifting plan. Lifting plan contains the essential information for the particular lifting operation, such as type of lift, selection of lifting equipment, tools and tackles, safe working load, and right method to use them. Slinging and rigging method. Safety precaution during the lift. Now, let us understand the safety rules to be followed while lifting operation. No person shall be allowed in the cordoned area other than the banksman and helpers. No person shall be allowed on the trailer and on the crane while loading and offloading. Safety barrication should be secured in the working area around the crane. Land should be even and hard. Outrigger should be fully extended. Lights and sounds of reverse brakes should be in proper working condition. Rear view mirror should be clean and should be in a proper position. If the crane has to be placed near the excavation, then make sure that jack plate is at a safe distance from the edge, that is, 3 times away from the excavation depth. While lifting the weight, the hook should be right over the center of gravity. If this rule is not applied, then the weight will get lifted in a tilted position instead of a straight position. In such cases, the sling will have unnecessary weight and the load may become imbalanced, which is dangerous. This kind of problem must be rectified immediately. If the angle of sling triangle is bigger it will create more pressure on the sling. This will reduce the capacity of the lifting weight. Make sure that the angle of the sling triangle is smaller, which will increase the capacity of lifting weight and is a safe condition. Lifted weight should be properly tied up by the guide rope so that it does not hit any person or object. Do not use equipment in any extraordinary and adverse conditions, such as strong wind, heavy rain, heavy dust, thick fog, etc. Don't use cell phones or other electronic devices like music player, headphones, etc. while operating the cranes. If you consume alcohol or drugs, then do not conduct any lifting operation. While maintaining the equipment, make sure to turn the engine off. Take the keys out. Use wheel chokes and support the hydrolocks with a hard object. When the crane is not operating, then the operator should lock the cabin and place the key in a safe, authorized place.
Today in Chicago, a construction worker was killed when the aerial device he was operating collapsed. The worker was moving the lift with the boom elevated when the right side wheel struck a curb. This caused the lift to become unstable and topple over. The operator was not wearing the required fall protection and was thrown from the platform. Experts say a proper work area hazard inspection could have identified the stability hazard and prevented the accident. They also note that the fall protection is required for anyone performing work on an aerial device. A memorial service is being held on Friday.
Aerial lifts are used frequently in construction and general industry to raise workers to an elevated height. While these tools are very useful, if used improperly, they can be dangerous. It is important that every operator is trained on the specific type of lift that they will be operating. The objectives of this lesson are to know the types of aerial lifts, understand stability characteristics of aerial lifts, know how to obtain important operating instructions, understand the requirements for vehicle and workplace inspections, understand safe operating principles for aerial lifts, understand fall protection requirements for working on aerial lifts. The American National Standards Institute classifies aerial lifts, or mobile elevated work platforms, into two groups. Group A consists of mobile work platforms that move vertically, but stay within the tipping lines of the machine. Scissor lifts are an example of Group A mobile work platforms. Group B consists of aerial lifts where the platform extends past the machine's chassis. A standard boom lift is an example of a Group B mobile elevated work platform. Each group is divided into three types. Type 1 mobile work platforms can only be driven in the stowed position. A vertical tower is an example of a Type 1 elevated work platform. Type 2 work platforms can be driven while elevated, but can only be controlled from the bottom operator panel. A mobile stock picker is an example of a Type 2 device. Type 3 mobile elevated work platforms can be driven while elevated, and are controlled from the work platform. An articulating boom lift is an example of a Type 3 mobile work platform. The operation of aerial lifts in the workplace is covered by OSHA 29 CFR 1926.453, Aerial Lifts, and the American National Standards Institute, Safe Use of Mobile Elevating Work Platforms, 92.22. Mobile Elevated Work Platform Selection. The employer must evaluate the job requirements and work site conditions to determine which type of aerial lift will safely accomplish the task. It is important to select the correct vehicle so employees can accomplish their work without having to push the limits of the vehicle. The selection process should consider required elevation. How high does the worker need to reach? How close does the operator need to be to the work? Horizontal outreach. What is the required horizontal outreach? What is the height of the object that needs to be reached over to access the work? Are there any obstacles on the ground that limit the position of the vehicle? Required capacity. How many people need to be lifted? What is required to be on the platform, in addition to personnel? What is the maximum expected load of people, tools, and equipment? Support and driving conditions. What are the ground conditions on the job site? What terrain will the machine be traveling and elevating on? Will the ground hold the weight of the vehicle? Are there any tunnels or chambers beneath the support surface? What is the slope and condition of the support surface? Hazardous atmospheres. Has a qualified person determined if any atmospheric hazards exist? Are the vehicles rated for this hazard? Have employees been trained on the hazards and provided proper equipment? Indoor work areas. Is buildup of vehicle emissions a concern? Is there enough lighting? Are there any obstacles that need to be maneuvered around? Will the floor support the load? What other work is going on in the area? Access to the work area. How will the vehicle be delivered? What is the access point? Are there any obstacles, such as stairs or ramps, that need to be maneuvered around? Are there pedestrian or vehicle traffic hazards? Will the vehicle be moved while in an elevated position? The employer will consider the hazards and circumstances of the work area and select the mobile elevated work platform best suited for these conditions. Aerial lifts may only be operated by trained and authorized employees. To become authorized, you must be trained by a qualified person on the safety requirements of aerial lift operation. This includes operations and safety, applicable regulations, contents of the operator's manual, and practical training. Once training is complete, the employer will conduct an operational evaluation. Operator retraining is required when a supervisor determines an operator requires refresher training, when the operator is involved in an accident or near miss, or as required by the employer. Specific training requirements for aerial devices are listed in 29 CFR 1926.453 and ANSI 92.24. The most important safety device on an aerial lift is the operator's manual. This is where all the information that is important for safe operation is provided. In this manual you will find operating rules, vehicle capacities and limitations, operation of safety devices, inspection requirements, training requirements, and much more. Every operator must be familiar with the contents of the operator's manual for the vehicle they are operating. When not in use, the operator's manual must be kept on the vehicle. Placards and decals are placed on the vehicle to communicate important information to operators. Electrical hazards, pinch points, other hazards, and emergency controls will be clearly marked. Each aerial lift has a maximum lift capacity. This can be found in the operator's manual and on the data plate. The lift capacity can vary, depending on the position of the boom. An extensible boom lift, with the boom fully extended and lowered, may have a lower capacity than one that is straight up and down. Most lifts have one maximum capacity listed. If you keep the load on the platform lower than this maximum load, you will stay within the capacity limit in all boom positions. It is critically important that you know the maximum lift capacity of the aerial device. Your life depends on it. When operating within capacity limits, an aerial lift is designed to be stable in all boom positions. An aerial device can become unstable if the rated load for a given position is exceeded. The load on the platform is not balanced. There are more occupants than permitted by the manual. Workers enter or exit the platform while elevated. The vehicle is on a slope that is too steep. The vehicle is not on a strong surface. The vehicle is struck by something. There are high winds, or the lift is moved while loaded. It is important to understand the stability characteristics and limitations of the vehicle you are operating. The operator's manual will have more guidance for keeping the vehicle stable. Aerial lift modifications must be approved, in writing, by the manufacturer. If modifications are made, the capacity, operation, and maintenance instructional markings must be changed accordingly. A risk assessment must be performed whenever aerial lifts are used in the workplace. The risk assessment must include an identification of the task, which includes the location and timing, the evaluation and selection of the proper mobile elevated work platform for the work conditions. This analysis should include the task to be completed, constraints of the work area, ground conditions, site access, and proximity to other workers and the public. An assessment of the risks associated with the use of aerial lifts. The risk factors include the work location, the type of work platform, the people employed, and the materials and equipment to be carried. A designation of appropriate control measures. These should protect employees from the identified risks. Procedures, special precautions, and protective equipment must be implemented as necessary. An identification of safe work practices. The risk assessment results must be used to identify safe work procedures and plans for contingencies. A rescue plan must be developed to address an equipment failure and a fall from the platform. Rescue options include self-rescue, assisted rescue by others in the work area, and rescue by emergency services. This risk assessment must be communicated to all entities involved in the work. The risk assessment should be completed before work commences, and evaluated periodically during long-term jobs. An aerial device must be inspected by a trained operator each day before the lift is used. Conduct a walk around visual inspection to look for damaged components, cracks or corrosion, excessive wear, and any loose, deformed or missing bolts, pins, fasteners, locking devices or covers. Inspect the work platform, including the guardrail systems, floor, anchorage, and mounting. Check for basic cleanliness and any signs of damage. Check all controls and associated mechanisms for proper operation. This includes proper operation of interlocks, and the controls return to neutral when released, and are not sticking. Make sure control functions and operations are clearly marked. Check that the visual and audible safety devices are operating in accordance with the manual. Visually inspect fiberglass and insulating components for visible damage and contamination. Make sure that all the operational and instructional markings are present and readable. Check for validation that the vehicle annual inspection is current. Check hydraulic and pneumatic systems for observable deterioration and excessive leakage. Check the fluid systems levels. Pneumatic and hydraulic control systems operate under pressure. Leaks in these systems can cause injury to employees, expose them to hazardous chemicals, and create a slippery and unsafe work area. Check the electrical systems for damage, signs of excessive deterioration, dirt, and moisture accumulation. Check the tires for proper inflation, if required. Inspect the wheels and wheel fasteners. Perform an operational test. Set up the aerial device for operation, including the stabilizers. Cycle each aerial device boom function through its complete range of motion. Check the functionality of emergency controls. Check the brake for proper operation and performance. The owner's manual will have additional inspection items that are specific to the vehicle. Be sure to include these items on the inspection. If the aerial device does not pass inspection, remove it from service, and notify a supervisor. All unsafe items must be replaced, or repaired, before the device is placed back in service. It is important to inspect the work area before using an aerial device. Most accidents that occur are a result of a hazard that could have been identified if the area had been thoroughly inspected. Make sure the ground is strong enough to support the vehicle. Soft dirt or other surfaces may not be able to support the weight and may cause the vehicle to tip. Walk the work area and make sure there are no ditches, excavations, holes, or similar hazards. Check for excessive slopes or drop-offs that may cause the vehicle to become unstable. Check the area for loose debris, materials, or equipment. Verify that there is enough space between the aerial device and obstructions around it. Be especially careful to check for electrical hazards, such as overhead power lines. Current and forecasted weather conditions must be appropriate for the work being done. Make sure that there are no unauthorized persons in the work area. The work area must be clear of road, worksite, and pedestrian traffic. Make sure that there are no underground chambers beneath the work area. Tunnels, underground utilities, and sewers may cause the ground above to collapse under a heavy load. The work area must be free from other hazards, such as dangerous atmospheres or falling objects. Hazardous locations, with flammable or explosive atmospheres, require specially rated aerial lifts. In addition, employees need work procedures, personal protective equipment, and training. Do not enter hazardous locations unless you have been trained and authorized by the employer. Inspecting the work area is the responsibility of every operator. This can save not only your life but the lives of your coworkers. Don't assume everything is safe. Take a walk around and verify it yourself. The controls on an aerial device will vary from vehicle to vehicle, but there are some common principles. Each aerial lift will have ground controls, and many have platform controls. Aerial lifts require two distinct and separate actions to operate the vehicle. This is to prevent accidental motion. The ground controls require a function switch to be held to one side, while the other controls are activated. The platform controls usually have a foot pedal, which must be pressed while operating the controls. If the function switch, or the foot pedal, is released, the vehicle will stop. To use the platform controls, rotate the control switch to platform, press the foot pedal to activate the controls, and move the appropriate switch for the desired vehicle motion. The platform will shake a little when moving. The platform also has a joystick for driving the vehicle. The thumb controls on top are for turning the steering wheels. Press the stick forward to go forward, and pull the stick back for reverse. Most vehicles will require the platform arm to be aligned with the steering wheels in front, before it will allow the vehicle to drive. The creep wheel controls how fast the aerial lift mechanisms move. The lower the number, the slower the movement. Lower the creep setting when you approach a building or obstacle, to prevent accidental contact. The crush bar is an emergency device that stops the vehicle when it senses pressure. This is designed to prevent an operator from getting crushed between the platform and a building. It can be triggered by simply leaning against it. Press the reset button to restart the vehicle. Pressing the emergency stop will stop the vehicle. There is an e-stop on both control boards. If for any reason you feel unsafe, just press the e-stop and notify a supervisor. If you find the vehicle controls unresponsive, check the e-stop on the platform and ground controller. It is likely one of them have been pressed. Electrocution is a common cause of aerial lift operator fatalities. Operators must take care to identify and avoid sources of electricity. Operators must maintain a distance of at least 10 feet from any live source of electricity up to 50,000 volts. For every additional 10,000 volts, add an extra 4 inches of minimum clearance. The aerial device will be clearly marked with minimum safe clearance distances. Qualified electrical workers may perform specialized work. Their minimum clearance distances may be lower. Qualified electrical workers must select appropriately rated aerial devices, and comply with additional regulations and requirements for their trade. Types of aerial lift users. Occupants work on aerial lift platforms, but do not operate the vehicle. Occupants must be trained how to work safely on the platform, and how to operate the vehicle in an emergency. An operator is a person who is qualified to control the movement of a mobile elevated work platform. Operators must be trained on inspection, application, use, maintenance, and operation of the aerial lift. A supervisor monitors operator performance and supervises the work. Supervisors must be trained on work platform selection, rules and regulations, hazards and protection methods, and the importance of having the operator's manual on the vehicle. Before operating an aerial device, make sure the weather conditions are appropriate. Know the wind speed limitations of the vehicle. Check the weather forecast periodically, throughout the day. Verify that the weight of the load is within the capacity of the vehicle. Do not forget to add the weight of tools and equipment. The operator must inform platform occupants of applicable regulations, standards, and safety rules. The ground slope must be within the range recommended by the manufacturer. Install wheel chocks, if required, by the conditions, or the operator's manual. Workers on Group B aerial devices must be connected with a fall protection system. Each worker must be connected to their own designated anchor point. Always wear a hard hat, and check with a supervisor, to see if any additional PPE is required. Check the overhead workspace, to make sure that it is clear of obstructions, or electrical conductors. Maintain a safe distance from any obstructions, or electrical equipment. Try to keep the load evenly spaced on the platform. Engage the outriggers, and stabilizers, as required by the owner's manual. Use outrigger pads, when necessary, to provide firm footing. Make sure the guardrails are installed properly, and the gates are closed. If the platform gets caught, or snagged, stop operation, clear all workers from the platform, before attempts are made to get it free. Use the bottom controls to clear the device of the obstruction. Before operating, make sure that all pedestrians are clear of the vehicle. Mark the area, to prevent unauthorized traffic. Fences, barricades or flaggers may be required. Do not enter, or exit, a raised platform unless it is specifically allowed by applicable regulations. Connect fall protection to a designated anchor point. Never tie off to an adjacent pole, or structure. Maintain firm footing on the platform floor. Do not use buckets, or ladders, to raise the working height. Never stand, or sit, on the guardrails. Tools and materials should be secured to the platform. Take extra precautions to prevent objects from falling. Use storage containers, and tool lanyards, as needed. Do not use the aerial device for horizontal loads, unless it is designed for that purpose. Never use an aerial lift as a crane. Do not alter, or override, safety devices. Avoid moving an aerial device with workers on an elevated platform. Lowering the lift, moving it to a new location and raising it again, is the safest way to transit. Aerial lifts that are designed for mobile operation may be moved with workers aloft, if special precautions are taken. Before mobile operation, inform workers in the area that the device will be moving. During mobile operation, never drive on surfaces that could cause the vehicle to become unstable. Maintain a safe distance from obstacles and power lines. Maintain communications between the driver and the operator. Limit the device to an appropriate speed for the conditions. Check the owner's manual for any additional rules or requirements for mobile operation. When work is complete, shut down the lift, in accordance with the requirements of the operator's manual. Move the boom into the cradled, shut-down position. Make sure the parking brake is set. Secure the vehicle from unauthorized use, by removing and storing the key. If the aerial device is being transported, or driven onto the highway, inspect the boom to see it is properly cradled. Make sure the outriggers are stored. Use the locking device to secure the boom in the transport position. Employers must have a rescue plan that covers equipment failure and a fall from the platform. This plan must return a fallen or stranded worker to the ground safely and quickly. For equipment failure, there are two major options. The operator can switch to the backup control system and lower the platform to the ground. If the backup controls do not work, the secondary manual emergency descent controls can be utilized to release the hydraulic pressure and lower the platform. Fall protection is required on all Group B work platforms. The employer must have a plan, in writing, that explains the methods for rescuing a person who has fallen from the platform. There are three main options for rescue. Self-rescue utilizes special equipment that allows the employee to rescue themselves. Assisted rescue relies on other employees in the work area for rescue. This may involve using the bottom controls to lower the platform or using another elevated work platform to reach the fallen worker. If another vehicle is used for rescue, a qualified supervisor must conduct a site review and develop a specific plan for use of the vehicle for rescue. Technical rescue involves using emergency services to perform rescue. Employers who rely on emergency services must verify they have the knowledge and equipment to perform the rescue. Emergency services must also be available and able to arrive in an appropriate amount of time. If the platform becomes entangled, the employees must be removed from the platform before any attempts are made to free the vehicle. Vehicles that have tipped must be stabilized and secured before rescue is attempted. Aerial lift operators must be trained and authorized by the employer. Know the weight capacity, maximum slope, and maximum wind speed for the aerial lift you are operating. Complete an equipment inspection each day before use. Survey the work area for hazards before each use. Connect to an approved fall protection anchor point. Maintain a distance of at least 10 feet from electrical conductors. If the vehicle malfunctions, stop work and notify a supervisor. Keep both feet on the platform at all times. Know and follow the requirements of the owner's manual. When used correctly, aerial devices are a safe and effective tool. Make sure that you are familiar with the vehicle and understand the procedures for dealing with hazards. It's your life, protect it. If for any reason you are concerned for your safety, stop work and notify your supervisor.
Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about the boom lift behind me. We're going to go over certain things like a circle check to ensure that all the safety mechanisms on the machine work and that all the fluid levels are topped off on it. We're also going to be going over different applications and how the functionality of the machine will help you do your job to ensure that you're as comfortable as possible while using the machine. While doing your pre-checks on the machine prior to using it, always check all 4 tires for debris or anything that could cause damage to the machine while operating it. Note that this tire that we're using is a rough terrain foam filled tire, so this one is solid with foam inside of it. Other tires and machines may have different tires though, such as electric boom lifts are normally equipped with pneumatic non-marking tires to ensure that the ground that you're operating on does not get any kind of scuff marks on it in a warehouse setting. Other tires that may be used are also turf tires. These are typically used in sand or on an area that requires lower ground pressure and divots in the ground. These are air-filled tires and do not have these style tread on the tire. They will typically have more of a, you could say a golf cart tire tread. that is not going to mark up the ground as much and will allow you to use it better in a softer ground environment. While you're checking the fluid levels on your machine, ensure that they're both full. On this side of the machine, you have the fuel tank and the hydraulic tank. The fuel tank should be full when it's topped off at this flat line right here. The hydraulic tank is full right now, which is indicated by this black line. The blue line would indicate that it is too full. The orange line would indicate that it is low. While operating the machine, you will notice that this will come down as the hydraulic fluid is pushed out to the appendages of the boom lift. But when you retract everything back in, the fluid level will go back up. On the engine side of the machine, you need to check for your coolant level and your engine oil level. On the coolant level side here, to check it, the tanks themselves are pretty thick where you can't see the liquid. You just simply open this cap here to check and visualize the coolant level to make sure it's full. And down lower here, you'll see your engine dipstick to check your oil levels. Make sure that when you put your oil dipstick back in, it's in there tight so that oil doesn't come out of it. And then after that, you do a visual inspection to make sure there are no leaks, whether they be hydraulic or engine oil or coolant. We're going to talk about the safety stickers on the machine. These are very important for you as an operator to see and to notify anybody in case you need to lock out the machine, which means do not use it until the issue is fixed. The first one you're going to see here is the start. This is simply just to let you know how to start the machine from the ground controls. The next one you're going to see, which is the power emergency stop, which is right here. Typically means that the machine has a major error and the engine is on a critical point of having to shut down and you need to press the emergency stop button immediately. The next thing you will notice here is the battery charging condition. If that light comes up, that means your battery is not charging properly for the machine. The engine coolant temperature light right here is for the coolant of the machine to ensure the engine is not getting too hot. Right here for glow plug, this is just a pre-start machine. The engine has to go through a warming process to ensure that you do not have any issues with the machine. This also allows you to operate in a cooler environment. The next thing you'll see here is the function enable switch, which is the safety switch on the control panel. To allow you to actually operate the machine, you have to hold this switch down during the entire process of operating the ground controls of the machine. On the engine malfunction indicator, that simply means that your engine has a fault code and you need to refer to the owner's manual or calling your local supplier or us to ensure that you find out what the code actually is. Auxiliary power, this is simply for if the engine is not running or not capable of running. This allows you to lower the machine back down to get your operator out of the air. The platform control and ground control is simply just switching the key back and forth to if you're going to be operating from the ground or from the basket. The engine oil pressure is very important. If you see that light come on, immediately shut down the engine and check the fluid level of the oil to ensure you do not run the engine out of oil. After that, engine oil temperature. These machines are equipped with oil coolers. If for some reason the oil gets too hot, you need to also shut down the machine and refer to the owner's manual or place a service call to have this looked at, because the engine can overheat the oil and this will shut down the machine. Low fuel level. Always check your fuel to ensure that it is full and topped off for the job you're doing. And lastly, the drive steer disabled. This just means while you're operating on the ground, you will not be able to drive the machine. This is the load chart sticker. This allows us to see how much weight you can put in the basket while using the machine at its max reach. On this particular machine, the max load is 550 pounds or 249 kilograms. You'll be able to use that much weight in the basket with it extended at its max reach. There are boom lifts though that are called high capacity boom lifts that allow you to go up another 200 pounds in the basket at its max reach, putting you at 750 pounds. Today we're going to be talking about the ground controls of this boom lift. Please note the colors first off, which would be the purple and the blue. On JLG, which is what this model is, this is where you determine if you're going to be on the ground controls or the basket controls. So the first thing you would look at is the key to ensure it's turned to the ground control section of the boom lift. You would pull the e-stop or the emergency shutoff switch out. After you do that, you would crank it by pressing up on this switch and holding it until the machine is running. After you do that, this is also your safety switch, where you are going to push it down to do any of the functionalities of the machine. This very bottom switch is your turntable, which would allow the entire boom to turn left or right. The next switch up here raises the first section of boom, as you can see by the picture. The second switch here raises the second section of boom. The third switch here raises your stick out to get your maximum reach of the boom lift. This switch raises and lowers the jib of the machine, which is just an extension of the boom arm. This switch here allows your basket to articulate to the left and to the right. And this switch here is your leveling basket control, which allows you to raise and lower the basket to be level with the area that you're working. All right, guys, we're in the basket of the boom lift. We're gonna start up here at the top and notice the crush guard protection. This is simply a wire that goes across to prevent any kind of injuries or damages to the machine while working overhead obstructions. If you happen to make contact with anything, or if this were to come unhinged from the magnetic area over here, it will shut down the machine. It would do that, and you would not be able to have any range of motion on the boom lift. Once you ensure that it's back on, we're gonna go ahead and go back down further into the boom. On the right-hand side, we'll start here. This yellow toggle switch is for if the turntable is backwards and you're having to operate the machine backwards. You'll be able to know if it is backwards or forward by looking down at the base of the machine and seeing a black and white arrow on the axles of the machine. If you see the white arrow facing towards you, you are facing the correct way and you no longer need this switch. If you see the black arrow facing towards you, you would need to hold this switch to do any functions on the machine. From there, we'll go over to this yellow toggle switch. This one is to start the machine. Once the machine warms up and you engage it to start the machine, this will send your machine into an idle, and you do not need this to operate any of the controls. You would actually be using the foot pedal right there in order to do so. You would place your foot on there, and you need to keep your foot on there in order to operate any of the functions on it. If you keep your foot on there too long, it will stop the machine from working and you'll have to release the foot pedal and press back down. After that, we'll move over to the smaller toggle switches here. This one is your stick piece, which allows you to go outward on the machine. This one is your jib control, which allows you to raise and lower the jib or the knuckle of the boom up and down as well, which gives you a little bit more extension of area to work with. The next one right here is the secondary boom arm, which allows you to go a little bit higher. That's the second phase of the boom while going up in the air. This little toggle switch here allows you to swivel the basket to your left and to your right. This yellow button is your horn, as far as seeing an unsafe act, or if you need to get somebody's attention, you can press this and it will sound off. Right here allows you to tilt your basket down or up to be level with the area of which you're working. And this toggle switch here is your speed control. All the way up is moving at your fastest rate. In the middle is your turtle speed, which allows you to move at a slower rate. And downward like this allows you to operate the boom as far as transporting it down in a slope or past the grade of what it would allow you to raise in the air. Please note though, you cannot use the boom lift on a steep grade. It will not allow you to raise and lower. This is strictly to transport it. After getting past that, we'll move over to the joysticks. See at the bottom here where this little switch is, you need to pull this up in order to move the machine. This particular toggle right here allows you to raise the main section of the boom and then lower it. If you push it to the left or to the right, this allows you to turn the entire boom left or right. On the right-hand side, you'll see this joystick. Same thing, lift up on the metal piece, and you can push it forward to drive forward, backward to drive backward, and then to turn your tires, there's a switch up at the top of the joystick where you just turn it left to go left and right to go right. The limits for a boom lift are endless. You can do tree work, you can do electrical work, you can put guys up on a roof as far as if they're changing shingles out on your house, whatever the case may be. The possibilities with a boom lift are endless. You use a boom lift normally when you have to go up and out somewhere instead of going straight up and down to get to the area that you're working, which is when you would use a scissor lift. Boom lifts range typically from 30 feet all the way up to 180 foot. This is an articulating boom lift, which allows you to go up and over to the areas that you're working. If it's a straight boom, you can only go up and out. There is no being able to go up and over an area like if you're working on the drive-through area of a church, right there at the front, to get to the steeple, you need an articulating boom so you can go up and over to it instead of just up and out. On larger booms, such as 120 or higher, the axles actually extend outward to operate as outriggers for rollover protection for the operators of the boom lift. The reason that they extend outward, the base of the machine is so heavy and so wide they have to. The reason they extend inward is for transportation to get them underneath 8.5 feet so they can be transported on a standard lowboy. You can also use the auxiliary power on this boom lift. A lot of construction guys and a lot of contractors will use this for sky welding. What they do is they actually have a welding package here, and you would have an electrical hookup to plug in your welding attachment here. And this safety switch right here allows you to cut on and off the power to your electrical socket. In closing today, guys, I hope this has helped you feel a little bit more comfortable about using this boom lift. If you ever have any questions about using equipment like this, always reach out to the Dozer team and we'll be more than happy to help you.